Welcome to the Purity Pulse podcast, your go-to podcast for the natural health industry and everything Purity Life. I'm Julie.
And I'm Erin. Today we're going to do our weekly check-ins. We're also going to interview Aeryon Ashlie of Aeryon Wellness, which will be a good interview, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
And then we'll finish off with some new to Purity Life.
Excellent.
So, Julie, how's this week been for you? What's been going on?
Well, instead of talking about my week, I'm going to reflect instead on the episode that we're going to have, because being 49 years old,
right,
and I didn't touch yet the perimenopause symptoms yet, or any of the menopause symptoms, but it really made me think of, the evolution,
right,
of back in time, our mothers, that was like taboo, and again, your life was sort of over.
Yeah.
Remember my mom's with all her symptoms that were like crazy, and the only way they could treat or discuss this was with their medical doctor.
Yeah.
And there was sort of no way out of this, and it really wasn't a conversation that was comfortable. And knowing that Erin was coming, I just had a lot of thoughts about that,
right,
and thinking of, what I'm doing, going to the doctor, and what is available to us now,
right,
to, I would say, relieve ourselves if we have some symptoms or anything like that. So that's a lot of my thinking. You're still very young. You must not think about that. But did you see the evolution, though, from back in time,
For sure.
menopause or perimenopause, or all, we're talking about those, but there's also, vaginal dryness and everything that Erin has brought to another type of conversation, that easiness. So have you seen that too?
100%. I know even for, like, when I was a kid, when my mom was going through it, she was having issues with fibroids, where she was having periods that just didn't end.
Okay.
And I don't know exactly how long it went on for, but eventually they went in and just surgically took care of it, and they surgically removed her uterus. So then, like, that's, okay, now you're forced into menopause, you're going through all of these things.
Radical.
And it's interesting to kind of look back how little attention was given to that. Mm-hmm. That's a dramatic surgery that's going to impact your hormones and everything moving on.
Yes.
And we really didn't say that much about it. My mom didn't really complain. I honestly don't think that she even had enough information at her fingertips to even understand the impact, and probably what were probably strong symptoms afterwards, that it was even completely
discussed
connected
before.
or that there was any other option.
Yes. No.
So I think we've come a long way. Yeah. I'm certainly more comfortable talking about all of that kind of stuff and what we're all, coming out. I mean, it's each area within kind of, as we age, as we start menstruation, and as we kind of go through and things become regular, and then you've got pregnancies and all of that, and then into perimenopause and menopause, all of those are much more open discussions than they ever were before. And I think kind of, something that I know that I've heard you touch on too, it's menopause is no longer, okay, well, that's the beginning of the end. Like that's it. Now it's, let's do this strong. Let's own it, and let's take care of ourselves.
Absolutely.
And it doesn't need to be this dramatic, horrible thing that we're going through. It's you
put the cover and hide in a corner. Exactly.
Now it's own it. Take that, and you've got ways to address it, and we can still live great, full life. I was going to say full life, but it sounds kind of cheesy. But I mean, it doesn't need to slow you down. It doesn't need to change things.
No, absolutely. So we're going to get into our episode with Erin, and you'll hear all about the great products and how it came about.
Let's dive right in. So we're super excited today because we have Aeryon Ashlie, founder of Aeryon Wellness. Mm-hmm. Really high-grade supplements for women, made by women. So let's get into a little interview with Erin.
Yes. So welcome to our podcast, Erin. It's been such a long time that we were wanting to have you on our podcast discussing, the brand and discussing, the why and how all of this started. So enlighten us.
Well, first off, thank you for having me on. And second, thank you for wearing shirts. Look at all of us with our Empower.
Yes. Beautiful. Thank you.
Good time. So that's awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, first off, so I also want to thank Purity for being such an outstanding distribution company to work with. I mean, I'm always telling people when I meet them how wonderful it is to work with Purity. I think something I hear also from a retailer aspect as well, how easy it is to navigate the website and how easy it is to do business with Purity. So you definitely live up to your name. So first off, kudos to you guys. So I feel really lucky to be able to work with such a great team. So the brand really started, gosh, we're going on our 5th year now. I've been in the supplement industry for 20 years, so I might look familiar to some people. I've been an account manager for several brands across Canada, from Ontario to Alberta and Saskatchewan, and then now in BC. And it really started from my own personal health journey. I was, 10 years ago, I was overtired, overworked, overstressed. I had no libido, and
all the good stuff.
All the good stuff, all the stuff you want to have. And, ironically enough, I had been working in the health industry, health and wellness space for, a number of years at that time. And I was a holistic nutritionalist. And I really stepped back and took a look at what true health and wellness meant to me. And I think growing up in the era I grew up in, it was mostly gauged on the size of your pants. And that's what I had always really gauged it on, right? I came from that household. And so when I began to really look at what true health and wellness meant, and I wanted to be an example not only for my daughter, to have her look at what true health and wellness was, but I also have aging parents, and I think a lot of us can resonate with this. And I have one aging parent who has done it incredibly well. My mother is sharp as a tack, and she reads, and she has great friends, and she eats well and moves her body. She's done all the things, and she is a prime example of who I want to be. And then I have the other person, my dad, who has not so much, and he's dealing with dementia now. And so that became also a real push for me, looking at my health and wellness. How do I want to be when I age? Who do I want to be as an example? And how do I want to feel in the present moment? And so as I began to work through all my health and wellness, then I began to look at supplementation on the market. And there was really nothing that I thought gravitated or spoke to me. And that's really what Aeryon Wellness was born from, was a desire to create a brand that not only provided that, but also provided the education with the QR codes that we'll probably talk about. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And you refer to, what it was before. And I think that a lot of brands that have been created on the market were based on those, past, how you identify to be healthy or what it mean. And I mean, I know you've done also bodybuilding, and, it's a big passion, and it's great, and it's teach you discipline. But, when you think about longevity, there's choices to make there that might be different route, right?
Yeah, so, and I think you can see that too in the community of people who are bodybuilding, kind of the longevity and health expectancy too, right? So it's about finding that, it's any extreme. And I speak about that when you talk about diet, pulling anything completely out, any restriction, anything like that. It's about finding balance. And that's such a kind of nuancey kind of word. It's like balance, if we're all looking for it. Right. But finding that balance between, health and wellness and, not only mind, body, and spirit, find that balance between all of it. And that's really what I'm trying to educate and inspire women to do, is to find some sort of, whatever that balance is for them, right, in that moment.
That's right. And if you look at, the products that you've developed, and we look at, that female focused, what would you say? I know that you said comparing to what was on the market, but what was very important for you when you developed that line, on top of, hitting the missing spots, because you've created products that were just not there. And if you want to talk about that too, that would be great.
Yeah. I mean, there was a bunch of things that really kind of stood out to me. One of the big things as well in our industry, I think, and leading up to that point, was there was just more of a message of take this and everything will be better. And that's really where I looked into the QR codes, because I wanted to provide the support for the customer and also for the retailer as well. I mean, retailers are dealing with right now an ongoing staff change, right? They have staff, and it's hard to train everybody all the time. So with QR codes, if anybody hasn't scanned them, when you scan them on the front of the label, there's a video that explains the product in like 60 seconds. So you have a new staff member and they need to learn about the product fast. It's going to help you out by getting that staff member trained quickly, and they can scan each product, learn about kind of what the gist of it is. But also too, that supports the consumers. They have a video, they have 2 meal plans. They're beautifully done. We change them every year with grocery lists and pictures. And so much education and time has gone into these. There's daily affirmations, because the thoughts you think is important part of health and wellness. We have workouts in there. So really supporting the customer. I believe we are the only one technically doing this on the market. And that's what got us on Dragon's Den. We're on Dragon's Den 2 years ago with this because we were the ones, and we walked away with 3 offers. I didn't take the offers. They have to watch the episode, but you can Google it.
I think your experience in the industry has really paid off, right? I mean, it's really that knowing what retailers need and what consumers are looking for that's really, I think, kind of enabled you to build what you've been able to build. Can you tell us a little bit about your personal health journey and how that has impacted some of the things that you've done as well?
Yeah. So I, growing up in a household where my mom was a figure skating coach, my dad was kind of an amateur bodybuilder guy. So aesthetics and athletics were really important. And that kind of comes from where that gauge of, the size of your pants, gaining your health.
Right. Oh, yeah.
And when I was 14 years old, I started struggling with bulimia, and I struggled with bulimia for 25 years. And that was really my aha moment about 10 years ago. Actually, it was about 12 years ago now. It was something I always was trying to overcome and always trying to, deal with or stop. It was going to be Monday or it was going to be a holiday. And I had an episode and my daughter was home, and it was the first time she was locked out of the bathroom. And when you're 3, you don't usually get locked out of the bathroom with your parents. So she was banging on the door. And I remember I kind of rose up from in the middle of a purge, to be quite honest. And I kind of caught my reflection. I was like, if I don't get a grip on this, this is going to be my daughter. I have to get a grip on this. I have to fix it. And that's when I really started peeling back the layers. And my mom and I wrote a book called Bulimia to Balance. We hit #1 on Amazon with that one. We did a lot of, it was really therapeutic for both of us on both sides of things, her looking at things she wished she had done better. And then also myself looking at how I can I use cognitive behavioral therapy, which is part of the brand too, right? Thoughts you think is really important. And so I really worked for 2 years on healing myself. And one time in my life, I'll be honest, I never thought I'd be able to be free of that. And and now I look at how different my life is, and it takes daily steps. It's like anything you do in life, right? It's just to do it and really persevere through it, right? So yeah, for sure. So that's a little bit of kind of about the health and wellness. And in that time when I was dealing with the eating disorder, I also would do fitness competitions because it was the one time that I actually would be really strict and not have issues with it.
Yes, that makes it easy when we have those type of issues or challenges, I would say, because you are fully in control and you feel into that yes, you don't have to worry about the food that you're eating because it's all measured and calculated so strictly.
Yeah, exactly. So that kind of is where, and so in that, I took kind of the tools I learned from that using meal prep, because I found when I was not struggling with that issue is when I was actually eating proper meals. And so I took brought that into the equation. So then I had proper meals. I took all the triggers out of my house. And so I really worked through that. And in that, after that process, and after I began really on my more so feeling as though I kind of hit a point of healing, then I began looking, and my adrenals were shot. My metabolism was shot. My hormones were a mess. And that's when I really began looking for something. And it was also too around that time I had worked for one of the biggest supplement companies in Canada, and I was really blessed to work with that team. And some people might know who they are, but and at that point, my boss had sold to another big company, and I got packaged out, and I was like, it was like to me, I believed, I guess the universe or whatever you want to call it, went, all right, girlfriend, here's your opportunity. And I went, okay, let's go for it. So I took the package they'd given me, rolled the dice, and Aeryon Wellness was born.
That's a beautiful story, and thank you for being, I would say, so honest and transparent, because I think that's another point that customers and people connect with the brand and you, because you're authentic, and people have different issues on how they see themselves and different stress they live in their life. And I think that when you look at your brand, it just shows, it gives kind of hope, right? And it just say, hey, I've been in your shoes, and I've worked on myself, and here's the supplements that will help you. So it's like a full solution, but also, and that's why I really love your shirt as
like
well.
that. It's
exactly.
so much of what this is, right?
Yeah.
It's like, how do we empower women to control that?
Yeah, absolutely. You're sort of creating that movement to empower women to help each others instead of, looking the other way and say, hey, she said that she had that issue. It's about that, and that brings me into that education piece.
Yes,
that your brand is one of the rare, and I mean, you're out there everywhere. Every time I look at your Instagram and you're in a store, in a store. So I'm like, oh, we're both traveling. Where are you now? And one day we'll meet. But it's so important because you're the face of the brand, and I think for other brands, it is important to understand that if you want to share a message, you need to be out there. And your message is so amazing, not only on the ingredients and what you lived and what you've been through, but also, again, to give that hope and also teach other women that, you can grow and have a business and you can develop. So that's very commendable. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's very amazing. Yeah.
What do you think? No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, that's where I light up. I love being in my retail stores. And I think maybe it's just because I was account manager for so many years, but it's when we get a product listed in a store, and I love the listing people too. So thank you very much, everybody, for listening. Yeah. But it really is the people on that floor who are in there day in and day out, dealing with the customers and the conversations I have with them. If I can show them the story of the brand and give them a chance to try the product, then they're like, okay, now I understand the message of this. And then they can translate that to a customer that comes in, right? And that is where I think to me at least, it's the most important, one of my most important relationships I have. And I also love it. I mean, I was in Moose Jaw last week. Yeah. I were like, we never get anybody in Moose Jaw. First time. Here I am. So it's really great. Yeah. Next week I'm off to, I'm just making my calls right now in Brantford and Ancaster and all these smaller stores. But it's great to be able to go out and connect and talk about the brand and have them understand the messaging of what we're trying to get across.
So if you wanted to kind of touch to some of those retailers that you're not able to walk into, and you really wanted to get them to remember one kind of key message from you, what do you think you would say that one key message was that they should really remember?
I guess, there's a whole bunch of key messages, but I think the big thing, if it's a retailer, especially if they're not too familiar with the brand, we do have education for you. We do have, pre-recorded training videos they can tune into, but using those QR codes to your advantage will really, really assist you. And not only, one of the things we've also noticed, we've had a decline in customer returns because customers are understanding what they're buying. We also are 100% money back guarantee. I want my customers to be happy. If you have a customer who buys a product, it does not work for them, bring it back and try to get them on something else. We want them to have the shopping experience with you as a retailer, as a pleasant experience, not somebody who, they bought something and now they can't return it and they're stuck with it. They want it to be a pleasant experience with you. And also I want the retailer to understand we support them on every facet, like every possible way we can.
What a great piece for the retailers to own, to have that confidence and to get that confidence from you that they know they can trust what they're selling and that you're going to stand behind it, which gives them the confidence to be able to stand behind it so strongly, right? Like even just the way you're saying, if it doesn't work, then let's find the one that does. I mean, that's you saying that based on this deep understanding of the products and knowing that it's a matter of figuring out the right one. And that's where that education piece is so key for you.
And if a retailer has us, if you have a team that wants me to jump on and do a live Zoom call, I am more than willing to. Or if I'm coming to the area, I welcome to stop by. I do aisle trainings. I am there to support 100%. So social media, whatever we can do to help you support the brand.
Amazing.
We're all in.
So for women that are sort of new to the natural industry and taking supplements, and I know that it depends on their needs, but where would you suggest them to start?
Well, I do have a favorite child. I do have a favorite child of the bunch. And my favorite child is Renee. And don't tell the other kids, but
don't make them jealous. You'll have your turn.
But Reclaim has really made a profound difference in my life. I'm in perimenopause right now, and there's a huge movement right now and a huge conversation that's happening around perimenopause and menopause. And for women, especially educating women, that perimenopause is really where you're symptomatic, right? It's that late 30s to early 50s. That's where things are happening. Menopause is 1 year after your final bleed. So I would think, to me, women definitely taking something that supports their estrogen detoxification in their body, right? Supporting that excess estrogen. 80% of women intend to be estrogen dominant. And thankfully, we have Purity because they sell all these wonderful, amazing natural products. So we don't have to have all the xenoestrogens. but really looking at ways in which we can support ourselves and having Reclaim. It's a 1 a day. The dosages far outweigh anybody else on the market right now. To me, is something every woman should really be taking. My daughter, who is 15, I have her take it leading up to her period. Sometimes she can experience breakouts. She only needs it during that time, kind of in her luteal up to her end of menstruation. That's when she'll take it. And myself, being in perimenopause, 1 a day, every single day, with my So Harmonious. And then with somebody who is, is symptomatic, they could bump it to 2. I'm a big believer in starting with 1, seeing how your body responds to it instead of taking the highest dose and then going down from there. I'm a little bit more the opposite way.
Yeah. What did you see as change by using it for you? Because it's funny, I'll go back to what you said about that perimenopause. And it used to be back in time, like that's the end of your life.
Yeah, right now, right? Yeah.
I remember at my mom's age, it was like, oh, you're into the menopause, like life is over, basically. Everything goes down after death. But now with all the education on consuming more protein, lifting weight as you do, right? It's like, it's no longer that same. And I think you're very strong with that message too out there, which is great. Life doesn't end because you're starting that period. But using Reclaim, what type of, like a 1 a day, as you mentioned, what change or what did you see for you as the support?
Well, we've had incredible feedback. I'll just say one person who had very cystic breasts. All her cysts went away. Using it for 3 months. She was at Community Naturals. One of the managers there, me, and I almost started crying because that makes me just so
yeah.
She's like, I recommend every. But I will say something that's really interesting. So I do my labs, my blood work every 3 years. Usually, we've done it more now as I've gotten older because I'm 49. And so the last one that came back. So my doctor, when I was 35, it was the highest because I had Michaela. And so my, everything, all my hormones are up here, right? And so I've just gradually done this, which is what it's supposed to do as I'm getting older. Yeah. So he called me the other day. We just did it again. We always do it in your luteal. So you do a 21-day mark is when I do my testing. And the only thing I've added So Harmonious. So that's our glucose metabolism support product. I've added that since May. He called me and he's like, are you taking something for progesterone right now? And I'm like, why? He's like, Erin, your progesterone levels are 61. You are second trimester pregnancy, like progesterone levels. He goes, your estrogen is up to 360. He goes, you've done this, and all of a sudden he goes, what are you taking? And I'm like, well, I'm taking my own product, let me tell you. And so in that I began to throw it. So I'm like, what? And so in that, we also I'm doing the Dutch test as well. I want to do a dried urine just so I can get a more comprehensive look. I'm going to wear a glucose monitor because I want to, again, just really kind of step back and take a look at this. Now, the ingredients in both products, we're obviously supporting liver, right? So supporting that estrogen toxin pathway. We've got the green tea in there to stabilize blood sugar. We've also got in there chaste tree to help with ovulation. We have 900 milligrams of lion's mane to help with anxiety and mood. And combined with the So Harmonious, because we have 430 grams of KSM 66 ashwagandha. So I'm thinking with the stress support there and the blood sugar support with the myo-inositol, and then just all of it together, it kind of took me back a bit because I was like, is that okay? He's like, no, it's good. He goes, it's really interesting how all of a sudden this past, and that's the only thing I've changed is adding So Harmonious to it as well.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, so that's what I could say test-wise, lab-wise. And so I'd like to do it again with the Dutch test. As I said, I've just ordered that. Really take a look at another level and see what's really going on there as well. So it's very kind of fascinating. But we've had, in the sense of women enjoying the product, taking it, feeling better with mood, feeling better on keeping their cycles regular. I noticed times, at least in the past year, when I haven't taken Reclaim and I've kind of fallen off, because I think we all can, I'll notice my periods aren't as regular. Right. So I'm very adamant about taking it because I really want to make sure I'm ovulating. I want to keep my period as long as I possibly can. Right. So and with my progesterone, this level, I can, you're gold. I'm like 60. What are you talking about? Not that I'd want to. No, that I'd want to.
I know it's funny because I feel like doctors are shocked. We just went to our annual
That's
checkup.
right, yeah.
Exactly. And you sit there and the doctor is like, do you take any medication? And I'm like, no. But he said literally, but you're 49. And I said, yeah, what does that mean?
What's your point?
What do you mean? He says, but everything, you're sure? And I said, well, you have my file.
Yeah.
And they look at our markers and, there's taking the right supplements like yours and doing, the training and eating properly can change that. And we don't need to go into perimenopause or menopause and living like our mothers, suffered. Definitely suffered. Yeah. My mom was sitting in a snowbank because she was having hot flashes so much that she was she was opening the door in Quebec and literally going in the snowbank and sitting there
just to cool down.
Just to cool down.
It's funny the things that we just have learned to accept, right? I mean, it's this whole idea that you go through this and it's going to be terrible and you just need to accept it, and that's the norm.
Yeah.
What do you think would be the biggest misconception about health now that we're kind of having a better perspective on it?
Oh, I mean, I think one of the things I really come across with, at least with women, is most women think they're eating healthy, and most women think they're getting enough protein. And the protein aspect of things, I'm going to be launching a protein, but yes, it's coming. But because it's such a fundamental part of what I take every single day. But protein for women, and we've talked about this, but lifting heavy weights. I'm telling you, jumping on a little mini trampoline it's not going to qualify. It is not. It might help you a bit from lymphatic drainage, but you need to go and lift some heavy weights, and you feel so powerful. Like, that's one of the things when I ask the audience when I'm doing, especially the talk on perimenopause, who lifts weights? And I'm like, who lifts heavy weights? And they're like, yeah. And there's this like nothing beats
energy.
You know that, right? When you leave the gym and you're like, I just like
exactly.
it up and like I did it. And the guys were oh my God, she uses a lot of weights. And I was like, yes, I do. Right? It's a great feeling. And by going to the gym every day, that steps of taking that habit is blood sugar regulation, bone density. We know this is something that women should be doing. Right.
Yes.
And of course, taking good quality supplements, but starting with that is such an important factor too. Right. So I think that's a misconception. A lot of women think, I can't lift weights. I'm going to get big and bulky. That's a really big misconception. The big and bulky. I have I found it so funny. It was like, that's like saying if you go to like a golfing round place, like an outdoor thing, that if you sway a couple times, you're going to become Tiger Woods. That's the comparison. If you think that's what's going to happen.
It's not that easy. Right? That takes a little bit more than that. Yeah,
exactly.
Yes.
So I think those are some of the misconceptions.
Yeah, and it's so true. And I want to add to what you're saying about the weightlifting and women bone density. Mm-hmm. That's one of the biggest issue down the road. And the other thing is your grip strength. If you lift heavy, your grip is so good that when you slip, you can hold yourself, because a lot of older people, they die or they get in very bad position because they break their hip and it's done just because they couldn't hold themselves when they slipped.
Yeah.
And it's crazy, and I'm so happy that your brand and you exist and spread the word, because when we travel, and I'm sure you noticed that, you look on the plane and you see so many women, they can't even put their suitcase in the overhead bin. Yeah. And they're all like shaky, and you're like, oh.
And what a way to live, right? I mean, then you don't have the confidence that you can take care of yourself and that you can do things for yourself. No. Everywhere you go, you would be second guessing. Well, can I do it? Will I be okay? It's a horrible way to live as well, right? I mean, that takes a toll on your mental health too.
Yeah. You want independence, right?
100%. And this time, especially, when I tell women to always look at their menstrual cycle, their periods, as their report card. If you have a really symptomatic period and you're really struggling, take a look at your month before. What were your stress levels? Were you pooping?
Right.
Speaking of it, but were you?
Yeah, we'll talk about that later.
little pitch there. But are you pooping? Are you Like, what's going on? Are you drinking your water? Are you moving? All these different things, what's going on? And I guarantee you, if you're having a really symptomatic period, you can look back and go, okay, there's some things that were going on here that I wasn't really paying attention to. And if we don't pay attention to that, that's like, when we are entering cold and flu season and all of a sudden you get the sniffles, you start going to bed a little earlier, get your vitamin D, get your C, get your elderberry in there. You start taking care of the fact. Yeah. It's the same thing. It's like, oh, hold on. I'm getting these symptoms. Hold on a second here. I need to do, what am I doing in my life? Because if I don't, in the future, it's not going to be too great.
You pay for it.
And it's not just now, although we're all about living in the moment. And I try to do that too. You really have to be conscious of these day-to-day habits and how you can change the trajectory of your life as you age. And we can be super vital, happy, sexy, older women. We don't have to be like, 49. Do you know what's interesting? Golden Girls, like Blanche was our age. Like, and look at the Golden Girls our age.
She was a cutie, but I hope we look a bit different.
Right? Like, all of them were the Golden Girls that were our age. And so you think of that, how different we are now from then, and how different we will be. I mean, us three, especially too, the next 20 years, my goal is to be vital and happy and healthy and got my sense about me. And all of that comes from, taking good supplements, eating properly, moving my body, all of that. Right?
Paying attention to your body.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's what is wonderful about our industry and also about our retailers and also companies like yourself, is we are all kind of driving towards that one message with our customers. Have them live their best life, not only right now, but also in the future to come.
Longevity. You're very inspirational, but where is that inspiration came for you? Like, where do you have like somebody that inspired you and that you have in your back of your mind that inspire you to be who you are today, but also keeps you going?
Would be my mom for sure. I'll get emotional, but it would be my mom for sure. She is just such an outstanding person and she still is the person who I talk to probably 3-4 times a day. She is the person that, when I leave to go, because I'm a single full-time mom, so I do everything on my own. I do not have support. And so when I leave to go see stores, my mom flies in. And so she flew out last week when I went to Saskatoon. She flew in, I flew out. I don't even see her. And then she flies out and I fly back. And then this Friday, she flies in, I fly out. She flies back out. When we do not at the airport flying in on Wednesday, she's going to be there for 45 minutes and I'm getting off the plane so I can run over, give her a hug and then go. But she has been such an inspiration. Went back to school at 40 years old. She left my father. We come from a Christian background. She made the decision that it was not best for her and she stood for herself. I have such respect for that. And then she went back to school, got 2 degrees, changed her life, made a very conscious decision of who she was going to marry. She gave my stepdad the Myers-Briggs personality test for her first
amazing. Amazing.
I love her already.
I have no time to waste. But she really has created boundaries and been so, for me, that's who she's going to be in this world. Volunteers. That's why we do the Downtown East Side Women's Shelter as well. She volunteers the Calgary Women's Shelter. She is, for 100% sure, she's my mom, would be my inspiration. So
yeah, she sounds like your absolute rock.
She is. I would not be able to do Aeryon Wellness without her. There is no way. Oh my goodness. Right? So it's huge. It's really huge to have that. And I have other amazing women in my life who support me and love me and champion me. You guys are fantastic. Also too, you guys are part of that. So I have a lot of women who are in my corner and rallying. But the real person at the top.
And I can see that. Yeah, definitely. That's fantastic.
Well, and I think we can see that in you too. I mean, even the whole empowering, like what an amazing message to continue to share to all women that as women, we're willing to really support and lift up other women and really do that on a very regular basis and at every opportunity. Yeah,
absolutely.
Exactly. I agree. We're all, we can't take, the whole thing of, I can't take away from somebody else. So if somebody else is doing well, it uplifts. And even in my industry, right? Another company is doing well in the female health and wellness space. That uplifts my brand too, because it's all about doing this, right? You can't take something from somebody else. You just have to
fan the blame.
Focus. Yeah. Keep focused on what you're doing and it always works out.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for your time. It was fantastic to have the chance to discuss with you of the why behind your brand and to hear more about yourself. We're so fortunate and happy to have you at Purity Life with us. We appreciate you very much,
Guys, I'm not going anywhere.
Nope, you're not. We're keeping you.
Good.
We love it. Thank you, Erin.
Amazing. Thanks, Erin. All right, so now it's time for some new to Purity Life. And on this episode, we've decided to keep Aeryon Ashlie around to tell us a little bit about the Move It product.
I love the name.
I know, right? I wish I could actually have that song playing from Madagascar right now. So just
Oh my God. Yes. You know what we should do, Erin? We should do something at CHFA that you talk about the products and we have a crew in the back that can sing and dance in the back.
Move it.
Yes.
I did something on my Instagram yesterday with it, and I was dancing around to it. So, I'm super excited about this one. This is one of the newest to the market. So this is Move It. We have the bottle version and we have the travel version, which I'm really excited to kind of talk to you guys about. So when we did this product, I really looked at some of the leading ingredients people are using in their products. But what we also did, and this is where I want to bring retailers' attention to, slide your eyes over, we used all extract forms. So personally, right now, and I can actually pretty well hands down say this is the strongest formula on the market right now.
Wow.
So in there we have the Chinese rhubarb. We've also got in there the aloe vera. We've got in there magnesium hydroxide, marshmallow, but they're all high clinical doses. One of the things that's different with this one, we also added Boswellia. So there's some really interesting research right now with Crohn's and colitis. So we added that for inflammation. It's a one a day. We got Triphalia 2 in there. It's a one a day. When I travel, and I'll be really honest, I get really constipated when I travel. My body's just like, we're not at home. It's not working. Yeah. So I actually take 2, and it was the traveling that I was at CHFA West, and we have the Water Be Gone travel, and every woman came to the booth and was like, do you have this in a travel version? And I'm like, give me a minute because I will. So CHFA East, we launched the Move It travel version. And one of the things I really want to talk to retailers about is having a travel section in their store, having something for a grab and go. If you go to any of these big stores, they all have it. Yes. It's something people love to do. It's a trial size. It's something they can, try out, see if they like it. And especially with constipation being an issue when you're traveling, then it's something great to be able to have in your purse. And women tend to be more constipated with men, be it with hormones, and also too, we have 30 centimeters longer small intestine, which is something interesting as well. So we have a lot.
There's
more
a way to go.
Know that.
There's a way to go.
Right. So this is the perfect product for it. And with all Aeryon Wellness products, we have a little QR code on the back.
Yes, we love the education piece.
And also tips and tools and strategies to so you're not constipated. So so this is Move It.
So for a customer that wants to take that for a length of time, what's kind of the max time that you can be using the Move It for?
Well, we have to say not to use it every single day. I tell people to use it as much as they can, but if you go past 20 days, like if you're really chronically constipated,
there's other issues.
Yeah, there's other issues. I would really go and talk to your doctor. But with this one, as I said, I use it when I travel if you're gone for a couple of weeks. Yes. But also too, when you're traveling, make sure you're drinking your water. Make sure you're getting some fibrous foods if you can. Really
you're moving.
Moving, right? Not only moving, but also so you can move it. So really important as well to add those all together to make sure you're having things are moving along.
I love this. The travel size is just genius.
Well, it's great because as Erin was saying, it's not only because you're traveling, but also you want to try it.
Yes.
So it's easy that way. And I love I was thinking as you were talking about the ingredients, about back in time when you just have the senna, S-E-N, as an ingredient. Yes. And it's like doing this to your intestine, where your formula has at the same time like sort of a soothing, protecting element to it, right? And it's that's a perfect combination.
Yeah, it's a smart formula.
It brings water into the intestine to help you actually flow through as well, with the magnesium hydroxide in there, and also inflammation, and of course really making sure
I like that.
able to pass it much easier as well too. So it's a really ingredient. Yeah, we're really happy with it, and it's been doing quite well. But we just launched the travel size, so Purity has it. So
Clip strip everywhere, people.
Yes.
Put it everywhere.
Exactly. I just got mine. I just saw it yesterday for the first time. So I unboxed my child and I was like, oh, here you are. So you guys had it before I did. I was like, oh, one of my stores had it. And I'm like, look at her.
You have given birth to a lot of many products with fantastic names. So kudos to you and thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me, guys. Okay, take care.
Thanks so much for being with us. As always, we love your feedback. Email us at marketing@puritylife.com. Follow us on Insta, Purity Life Health Products LP, or Erin G. Macklin.
JD_Girl Power. And join us next week because we're going to have a special guest, Brad Black, which is the president and CEO of EO.
That's right. Thanks so much.